Hey everyone, Selwyn here from WynnStrength.com. On my 4th week's training vlog reviewing the Powerbuilding II strength template created by Barbell Medicine. This week we'll see some shoulder issues come into play. So I've been trying to deal with an issue with my right shoulder, not too sure what it is, but I've been training through whatever the pain injury is. Let's start off with day 1. And here we have the last couple of sets here. We're doing 345, which is sets of 6 at RPE 8, which is an improvement over last week, which is nice. The shoulder injury isn't really affecting the squat. If anything, it feels better with the stretch in the front there. So again, these reps look a little high. And you can also see my knees. Oh, my knees stayed pretty good there. What I'm always looking for is to see if my knees slide back at that first initiation of the squat, because when they do start to slide back, it is an indication that I am relying more on the back and the hips rather than the quads. Not necessarily a bad thing, but all it's doing is leaving some strength on the table there by not allowing my legs to be a part of the squat. Yeah, a little high on that first rep. A little bit better on that one. So again, the knees are shooting back a tiny bit. And the other thing to look for is if the knees... Oh, my weight came off the toes there. If my knees creak forward a little bit right at the base of the squat. So here it was 3 sets across at RPE 8. Definitely better than last week, which is nice. We've been increasing volume along these weeks, which is good. So the 2 things I like to look for is back angle, foot placement, and knee placement. So anything other than if the toes come up or the heels come up, that's not a good thing because that's showing that you're off balance. But the squat overall is coming on along nicely. I think I could go a little deeper on some sets. Here we have close grip bench press. This is where the shoulder injury really kind of hurt a fair amount. Still using the same weights from last week, so that's a good thing. I didn't regress, as it were. I kind of stayed the same and put out the same amount of weight and volume. I am not touching the chest here. It does feel a little odd on the lower part of there, so I did have to adjust the range of motion so there wasn't as much pain, and especially at lockout at the top. So this isn't a 100% full range of motion, but it is allowing me to continue to bench press, which I think is the better good there, is to train rather than to not train. And I did have to bring the grip out a little bit to help with that. And here we have some split squats with the SS yoke bar. Getting better at putting my weight on the front foot there. I am still using the knee wraps and the heeled squat shoes for no other reason than I don't want to spend time changing shoes. I don't think it makes that much of a difference with these ancillary movements. So the SSB bar is great, or the SS yoke bar I should say. Definitely helps with the shoulder issues that I've been facing. I don't think I've really appreciated this grip angle before until right now when there is a shoulder injury. So if you do have shoulder injuries, check out the SS yoke bar because that'll really help out manage that pain. And now I move on to day 2, which is a bench press focus. So here is where you'll start to notice the dip in performance due to the shoulder issue. It just felt, the pain is, it feels like my right pec is weak at the bottom, or throughout the whole bench press really. So this is where I think technique is huge, because when the technique slipped a little bit and my joints weren't completely lined up perfectly, that's when the pain would creep in. But overall, the right pec and the right shoulder felt weak throughout the entire lift, so I felt like my left side was compensating a fair bit. I did have to drop the weight as well as I increase in RPE across these sets, so I couldn't maintain the same intensity due to that injury, due to that issue I'm dealing with. But still within, I believe it was within 10 to 20 pounds. So at the very most it was a 10% decrease, but I think given the circumstances, I'm happy with this performance, that it wasn't anything less, and then I was still able to perform the movement, which I think is still very important. Still able to push through and and manage the pain rather than be debilitated by it. And here we have just some squats with the SS yoke bar, which feel good. I kept into the heeled shoes. I think using the heel shoes with the SS bar is a great combination, just personally for me, because I feel it shifts the weight into a way where I'm more quad dominant, which I think for me personally is a good thing, because I don't think my quads are playing as big of a role in the squats as I would like, or that I think I'm capable of. So nothing too crazy here. Again, I'm sticking with the not using any belts for any accessory movements, which I think is good. I found that pulling the handles away from me is really helping set the barbell in the right place. And here we have some Maya reps for the overhead press. Again, in press, I am able to use the same weight that I used last week. Might not have been able to hit the same amount of reps and volume as I did with the shoulder issue, but I'm still happy with this weight used and the ability for me to continue pushing through the injury issue that I have in the right shoulder. Again, I had to modify the range of motion there just to shorten it down a little bit, just because it was affecting me in the lower part of the rep. So floating overhead presses there rather than the full range of motion. But again, I think as a general mindset, I would recommend always to train rather than not to train. When you have an injury, find a way to work around it, find a way to modify movements, modify the workouts, but still attack the workouts with aggression, and not let the injury stop you from performing something that you could normally do. I'm only saying that because after every day's workout, my shoulder doesn't necessarily feel great, but at the end of the week, week by week, it feels better than the week before. So day-to-day basis, not that great, but as a long-term overall view, my body is healing itself. I believe that the body will heal itself regardless of how you perform, as it were. So I think don't let an injury stop you from performance. I wouldn't be too scared of injuries. Don't catastrophize injury. This is obviously based on my own non-doctorate, non-medical professional opinion here, but it is working for me. So we move on to day 3 with some deadlifts. Again, shoulders not really playing an issue with the deadlift, because it's not that angle is fine. Here we have 385, which is a great result because that's 10-pound increase over last week's performance, and we did that for sets across at the same RPE. So I'm feeling great with the deadlift here. I am noticing my deadlift is running away from my squat weights, which I think is normal. If you remember, the squat was only 345, and here we have 385 for the deadlift. Just trying to get the back set. I'm wanting to have a uniform approach to every deadlift I have. I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me. And here again, I'm looking for whether the plates move back or forth at the initiation of the lift. Great. If the barbell stays in a straight path, and if my hips shoot up before the rest of my body does. So we want to maintain the same back angle throughout the whole lift. So these are actually looking a lot better. Yeah, my knees aren't shooting forward, my shins aren't shooting forward or backwards, and the biggest point here is that my hips aren't shooting up before my upper back does. So that's one thing I've been working on in the last couple of weeks. That's one great thing with videotaping yourself, because you will be able to notice deficiencies in your movement. That's one thing I was noticing, is my hips have been shooting up in the past. So I've been working on maintaining my back angle for the initiation of the lift. So a couple of things that I did was raise the hips up, so you don't... Yeah, there it is. My hips are doing fine. So if you notice your hips are shooting up before your upper back does, so you'll see your butt shoot up first while the bar kind of stays at the same level, one indication, or one thing to change, is to just set up differently. Set up with the hips at a slightly higher angle, and then focus on still pushing the floor away from you as you initiate the lift, but maintaining that back angle, which I think I've been successful at for the last couple of weeks. My my hips aren't shooting up, everything's kind of working in a nice coordinated lift. Now move on to accessory bench, touch and go bench press. This was 215, so again, shoulder injury, getting in the way, not using the same weights as last week. We've dropped it by 20 pounds again, so about the same as my regular bench press. So some weakness there, but still pushing some good weights, only 10% decrease. Here we have the Pendlay row. This was good, no effect due to the shoulder pain. One thing I could look at doing is tidying up the form. Again, not my biggest concern here, but you can see there's definitely a lot of momentum and body English being used here to lift that weight up, but nevertheless they are still full ranges of motion. Now move on to the final day, day 4. Main press, overhead press with the belt. So the biggest issue here wasn't necessarily the pain, but the range of motion adjustments I've had to make because of the shoulder. I couldn't, my arms, if they didn't move in the correct path, I would feel a little niggling shoulder injury. So I've had to be super conscious of where my body's moving, and I also couldn't shoot my head forward like I like to normally. So if I didn't get that, like there, I didn't get the weight set up properly on my shoulders, if I didn't stack my joints in the 100% perfect way, there'll be a little discomfort, and then I'd had to lay back a little bit more than I would normally do, because once I leant forward and kept once I moved into the correct bar path and had my body in the right way, it just wasn't feeling great on the shoulders. So I had to lean back a little bit more, keep my head a little bit more back than I normally would like. But nevertheless, I was still able to push through, use a relatively heavy weight for me, which I think I'm still happy with the fact that I'm still able to perform all of these movements within 75% of my working weights from the previous week. Happy with that ability to train through it, and it just goes back towards my evidence, where I think, for me personally, I'm able to train through these little injuries and make my mind really push through the issues that I'm dealing with. Here we have some Romanian deadlifts. If you remember from the previous videos, I said I wouldn't use straps. I had to break down and throw some lifting straps on there because I wasn't able to grip this barbell as well as I would have hoped to. What's interesting is the night and day difference it makes when your body doesn't feel like it can hold the weight. The weight feels a lot heavier. So the instant I put these lifting straps on, the weight felt super light compared to the previous set where I didn't have straps and the weight felt like it was going to slip out of my fingers, which is super interesting because it dropped the RPE, but I didn't want to increase the weight this week. I just wanted to stay conservative because I wasn't too sure if it was my grip or my lower back that was helping create this apparent decrease in RPE. So here we have the final exercise for the week, feet up bench press for Maya reps. The reason the feet up bench press is a good accessory movement is that it takes the leg drive out of the game. I do like to still set the shoulders correctly, still set everything else correctly, except instead of having that huge arch in the back, I will flatten the back, and then there'll be pretty much no leg drive coming from the base. So what's good with this is because it is Maya reps, you are focusing on a more hypertrophy style set rep scheme, obviously lightweight, way more reps. What this does is, because it is a bodybuilding movement and a hypertrophy focus movement, you want to really isolate the pecs, which is what you're doing by not introducing the leg drive, not introducing a lot of that lower body tightness into the movement, and you're really focusing on getting those chest, triceps, shoulders pumped full of blood with a lot of hypertrophy, a lot of reps, a lot of volume, which you can definitely feel the pump, as it were, which is just cool to feel every now and then. So that wraps it up for this week. Let me know how you think about this newer, shorter format of the videos. Next week I will be coming out with a new format. Let's see which one you prefer. Again, as usual, I'll leave all the links below for my blog, wynstrength.com. Check it out, where I write up weekly logs of my workouts. I'll leave links for Barbell Medicine down below. Check out their templates and their other resources available, all for free. Thanks for watching. This has been Selwyn from wynstrength.com. A better life through strength.